MAGA King? Seriously? First this was funny, now it's straight creepy. Let's get into it.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I don't want you to ride. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the streets. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad.
Has the whole world gone crazy? Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
You have the luxury of not knowing what I know.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
All right, so now I have to start off unlike I planned to start off because I have to apologize for the fact that once again our Facebook link got deleted just before we started to go live. So for those of you on YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble who are wondering what the hell happened, they were just about to go. Why didn't they go? That's why. We had to get it correct. I was not going to let Facebook shut me out again, so we just ran it live instead of doing the schedule. If it for some reason is an issue on the software side, I will find out. But everybody else seems to get the stream just fine. Facebook, for the second time in a row, just before we go live, cut us off. So that being said, apologies done. Hopefully you were able to follow us and you're here. You should have gotten an alert, although if you're on Facebook, you probably won't get that for a while. But Jack, how are you doing today? And I appreciate your coming on to listen to me pop off at the mouth because I'm kind of pissed off and I got stuff to say.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because, with regard to the topic, I know very little about it. I've seen a few posts and that type of thing, but you've looked into it a little deeper, and you seem a little annoyed by it. So I'm really curious to find out why. What's going on? What do you know? And what's your perception of what's happening? So I can hear it and mull it over.
Yeah. So here's the point, right? It was maybe a few weeks ago. I start seeing these MAGA King, ultra MAGA stuff coming up, and the imagery, frankly, was creepy. All right, and to give an idea of the type of imagery, and I'm going to explain to people how this started, okay? Because it started pretty harmlessly, and it's still not harmful, but it's just disturbing to look at, and it bothers me greatly. And I just want to kind of show people. So if you haven't come across any of these images, okay, and let me look for a good one here. So here's one, okay. Now this is a retweet or a truth or whatever it is on True Social from Trump, okay. You don't get the full image here, all right, but what it is basically is Trump depicted as a king, as you can see here on this T-shirt, right? On a freaking T-shirt, Jack. All right. So here's the thing. It all started from, and I'm trying to pull the video clip from it, from Joe Biden. So Joe Biden opens his trap as usual, says some dumb stuff, and it was funny actually. And in the beginning, when I realized what it was about, where it came from, it's kind of another "Let's Go Brandon" moment. So he says this.
It's called I call it the Ultra MAGA plan, and the Ultra MAGA Republicans. The MAGA Republicans are under my predecessor, the great MAGA King.
Okay, so he in the course of it's still kind of funny listening to him say it. But at the same time, like, so here come the memes, here come the depictions, and whoever these people are that put these illustrations together have seen way too many episodes of freaking The Last King. All right, because or whatever, Game of Thrones. Like I don't know where they're getting this imagery from, but it's just Trump all knighted out in armor with like he's some kind of freaking savior king, and it drives me freaking insane. And so I first, like I said, I thought it was a joke, and it was, I think, at first. All right, But then I started. Then look, I went to Vegas this weekend. I got to see Bill Burr. I was enjoying my time with my family, just having a good time. Appreciating my children and my wife, and we got to see a great show, my wife and I, and all was well, right? All was well. And then I go and I check in, mostly just to check on the channel page, but also just to see, how my feed and whatever. And I go through my feed and I see at least three. And now, mind you, of course, they're feeding me stuff that they think is in my wheelhouse. So I see at least three of these images of Trump King, MAGA King again. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So I start clicking on them. And they're like serious, like people are putting out serious broadcasts with this imagery under this theme, under like as like it was twisted. It was freaking twisted. And then so I go and I just did a quick Google of MAGA King. And lo and behold, there are multiple stores selling MAGA King, the return of MAGA King 2024 t-shirts. Jack, I'm telling you, yeah, like that. Like I was like that. Like so I need to get this off my chest. I wasn't going to address this in any kind of episode, but now I'm like I've had it. I've absolutely friggin' had it. People need to get it straight. People need to get it straight. So like that we do not do kings, period, in the United States. I don't care how much you love Trump. I don't care how great he is. I don't care that you get all warm and fuzzy when you see him. It is creepy as hell to dress him up. And as narcissistic as he is, he took that post and he took that photo and just posted it up there on his old social network there. I just joined True Social. We just joined True Social recently. And so I went on there to validate that he actually regurgitated this post, and he did. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, if you're in Trump's shoes and you're not a narcissistic psycho, then you don't repost that image. Like that's a moment where you, as the person who's getting this reverence, this bizarre reverence from people, that's where you take a step back and go, whoa, folks, right? Whoa, like not kings, right? Where there's no kings here, right? But no, not Trump. No, he sees that image and goes, yeah, I like it. and that's it. Look, the image of him seeing that image and saying that to himself is fine. Like the image of him seeing himself as a king and laughing at it, at the fact that he would be getting all into it, maybe look at himself in the mirror. Like that's the image of Trump I have after he sees that kind of image, right? but like from the American people, for the love of God, like if you're one of those people, look, I voted for Trump twice. I'll probably vote if he's all there is against Biden, then I'm going to vote for him again. But for the love of God, if you're one of these people, right? Because these are the people that this is not everyone who voted for Trump who buys into this stuff. But I want everybody to be sensitive about this. And it's long overdue that somebody called out this BS. Like this man is not a savior. He's not a savior. And if you're one of these people, if you fall under this category,
where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
yeah. So if you're one of those people that he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and you're still going to sit there and be like, yeah, he's a savior. He's going to like, oh my God, there is no Superman. There is no Superman. No one, not Trump, not anyone is coming to save you. Okay. No one. And this just, I got so fired up about it because I know that there's probably millions of people out there who really believe that if they just vote for Trump, if they just get Trump elected in 2024, somehow things are going to be better. And yeah, will they, considering how psycho everything is now? Yeah, okay. Things will be better in the sense that, we won't be signing on with WEF as much, and we won't be doing, some of the super uber psycho creepy stuff. But if you think that it's going to solve our deficit, if you think that it's not going to solve any of the deficit, the debt, I'm sorry. But here's the thing, right? Everyone wants to, like, these people sit there and I swear they have in their head that Trump has some master plan. And he only got, they only stole the election from him and just keep dogging him and got his feet stuck in the swamp. And all that just happened because it was really a part of a more elaborate plot and plan for him to come back and expose everyone. He ain't exposing anything. He's already exposed what he's going to expose. And that's probably his greatest contribution as president was triggering all of these people and making them come out of the closet. Like that's his greatest attribute as president in my mind. The tax cut he did was useless. I don't care. Everybody I know paid more taxes under that tax cut. Like he doesn't understand those things. Like it's not like he looks at those things like it's going to work. Like it doesn't work that way. Like he doesn't understand the average Joe's taxes. Like he hasn't filled out average Joe taxes in his entire life. So like the idea that he's somehow gonna come in and you know what? And I took a tweet, Jack, and I'm gonna get your reaction in just a second. But my God, I just have so much going here that I just can't. So I took a tweet from him just to make my point. All right. Because if you're one of the people, and I said in the cover of this, although that clip, that link got destroyed, I said in the cover of this, it's got me sitting there saying we're probably going to lose some followers over this. And maybe we will, but I don't give a shit because you know what? People need to stop and really look at what they're doing and how hardcore they're following anyone, because this drives me insane. All right. So and when you're looking at somebody, again, this is all this vitriol is coming from someone who actually likes Donald Trump. I grew up liking Donald Trump. He's always been a good figure to me. I've always seen him as a positive force. I wasn't a huge fan of his primary run only because I grew up following Donald Trump, and it wasn't, he's a little too much of a negotiator for me. But you know what? His presidency turned out fine. I voted for him the second time, and I'll vote for him again if I have to, if it's him versus really anyone on the Marxist side. But in the end, there's things you have to be critical. Like you can't just throw out all criticism because you love this man. Like you just can't. And here it is. So this is sorry, it's over your face, Jack. I don't have an option here. But so he says Trumpism, as some call America first, is very simple. Low taxes and regulations, the most powerful military, right? Low taxes and regulations, right? So taxes got higher for me and everybody I know. So, I don't know what that even means. All right. He did lower regulations, though. Most powerful military, he did beef up the military, which is necessary every time a leftist leaves office for sure. Tariffs and taxes on other countries who've taken advantage of the United States. I was incredibly skeptical when he said he was going to do that. But frankly, trade wars are only scary if you lose. And we didn't lose. So I give him points there for sure. All right. But here's where he loses me. All right. Is that which will make the USA rich and debt free again. There is absolutely no correlation between tariffs and taxes and us being debt free. Okay. So in the end, if he wants us to be debt free, all right, because the debt skyrocketed under him. Like, I don't know if he even knows that. And this is why I'm saying, like for him to even make a statement like this, if he realized that the debt went through the freaking roof under him, you could talk about unemployment all day long, lowest minority unemployment, all of this, but in the end, the debt went through the roof. It went through the freaking roof. All right. If anything, it's sped up. So the idea that he's got a policy in place, somehow the second time around, he's going to figure it out. This guy already thinks he's God. And now we're calling him king. Like again, I have no issues really with his presidency in the fact that he was the right person at the right time, to expose what needed to be exposed and open up a ton of eyes. He absolutely was. And like I said before, I'll vote for him again. If it comes down to him and anyone else on the Marxist side, I will vote for him again. Personally, I would like to see DeSantis, but you know what? Whatever. The whole point of the next president to me is just to fill that spot and not do any serious damage while we, the people, do our job. Like that's what the next president's role is. Don't do any more damage. I don't need you to save me. I don't want you to save me. Like the idea that Trump still feels the government is a force for good. It's just being run by the wrong people. Like that's how he operates. And that disturbs me. Like that disturbs me. Now I can, look, it doesn't matter. He gets elected in 2024. We're still calling this convention of states, and we're still stripping that power from the federal government, whether it's Trump or anyone else in that position. And if people don't understand why that's important, all right, and you're too busy calling people king, and you think somehow that's a good thing, you're waiting for this man to be a savior. This man is not a savior. No man is a savior. There is no Superman. There is no Superman. All right. And Kathy says things would be better. That's not a stretch. Yeah, things would be better. Like how? How better? How better would things be? The debt's still going to be going through the roof. World Economic Forum. Okay, so they're shut down maybe for 4 years until the next doo-doo comes in. Like that problem doesn't get solved. It gets delayed. We kick the can down the road again. No legislation's going to get through. No legislation's going to get through. This guy's so poisonous on both sides of the aisle. Unless we, the people, get rid of the rhinos, nothing he does is nothing he wants to do is going to get passed except more executive orders. More executive orders, and we all talk to each other like, you know, King George, take a breath. I can't do it. This drove me so. This got me so angry. I'm not even done with this. I'm not even done with this post yet. So, to make my point about how he sees the country as being better off with government, like he could talk all he wants. In the end, his policies and his theories are still government. They're just him running the government. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. And if you truly see, all right, if you truly see, and for Christ, I'm wearing a T-shirt that says, "Once you see, you can't unsee." In the end, if you truly see, then you see that there is no man, none, not Trump, not anyone, who's going to come into presidency and save you, save the nation from the hole that it is in right now. Trump's greatest service, again, was alerting everybody in here. I want to give some more examples. So, all right, so let's see. All right. We got into his debt, which he did absolutely nothing but exaggerate and make bigger. So let's just get that clear. Protection of our under siege Second Amendment, sure. I don't know what the president's doing to protect our Second Amendment. Give a speech? Where's the authority of the president to do anything? Not sign a bill that's unconstitutional? Like, I don't understand what that even means. So yeah, okay. I'm pretty confident the Second Amendment ain't getting hit either way, despite the millions of attempts that have been thrown at it over the course of forever. But then great healthcare. Here's a great one. What does that mean? Right? That's classic Trump. I'm not explaining anything. Just trust me. It's going to be great healthcare. You have nothing to do with healthcare. If you're going to opine on healthcare, your opinion should be, we're going to get the government out of healthcare. That's not what he says. He's telling you, Trumpism is going to provide great healthcare. All right. That's disturbing to any liberty-loving free American. That's disturbing talk. If Joe Biden told you that, you'd freak the hell out, as you should. It's no different when it comes from him. All right. And then low energy prices through energy independence. Absolutely. Epic win for Donald Trump. Our energy independence. Absolutely. He's on the right track with that. Again, that's why I'll vote for him if he comes back in, because of things like that. All right. But and then the borders, right? But here's one: parental power on school boards. What does that mean? What does the president of the United States have to do with parental power on school boards? Nothing. Zero. Nothing. The only thing I want to hear from a presidential candidate on schools is how they're going to shut down the Department of Education. That's it. Parents will handle the business of taking over the school boards on their own. They don't need no president is going to help a parent win a school board election. The bottom line is these are just all pieces, okay? They're all pieces that drive me nuts. And when I see, and I've been quiet about all of this stuff. I've been quiet about all of it. I've been quietly just sitting down and you know, listening to this garbage and rolling with it the best I can. But my God, after we're through with this, now that I'm seeing this MAGA King, and there's actually going to be people with T-shirts walking around flaunting it, like we don't like your king, we like our king. Like, Jack, I'm all right. I'm done. I that was a lot to get off my chest, and I had to have the freedom to do that. And like, you know, but if you're those people, if you're one of those people who are just blindly following, because that's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. Is you're blindly if you're that person with the weak constitution, pun intended, who sits there and says, oh, he said something bad about Trump, I'm going to run away. Then run as fast as you freaking can, because it's nonsense. It's nonsense. This imagery of MAGA King has to go away. Jack, I keep telling you I'm done, and I keep going.
Okay. Let me jump in for a minute then. So, as far as the MAGA King piece is concerned, I understand where you're coming from. Part of me thinks it's more of a joke than anything else. However, whether it is or not, it's a great springboard for you, because we've been discussing this for quite some time. And really, it's not about the President of the United States. The President of the United States represents a centralized government who has gone too far in terms of overreach. And they are not going to control our budget. It's just going to continue. Now, he may come, if he comes in and gets elected, like you said, he may, level the playing field out, or pull it back a little bit and pull these Marxists back for the next 4 years. But then,
right, we need a conservative-minded person in the presidency, regardless.
Absolutely.
So truth.
But
I'm not sitting here promoting Biden. Like,
no, I know. I think your greatest point, though, is that, regardless of MAGA King and how serious that is or isn't, the fact of the matter is there is nobody coming to save us, and we need to save ourselves. And, the fact that it's about time. We need to do that. I think it's if we don't do it, then shame on us, and we deserve what we get, because you can't sit back your entire life and be dependent upon others to take care, to bring this country to the point where we truly have the intended freedoms at our disposal and the intended liberties at our disposal. And so, we get to a point where people are out there and they're like, well, I'm making good money and this and that. And we've all been guilty of it. And we continue just to move along, like a little fish in the pond, moving along. And Trump brought us to the point where we realized that there's a deeper issue here. But that's as far as it goes. Now it's up to us to do something about it. He brought it to the forefront. He excited all the people around the world. I mean, I get emails and I get messages as a result of this channel from people all across the world saying, "Hey, if America doesn't do something,
hope,
huh?
Like he gave world leaders hope. Like the
He
president
did.
of Mexico absolutely loved Donald Trump.
Without a doubt. He gave world leaders hope. He gave the people hope. There are people around the world that write to me, write to you, and tell us, hey, America's the last hope. And we really are. But what it's going to take, in all my ramblings, just let me bring it down to the basics. It's going to take we, the people, to get off of our butts and enact Article 5 of our Constitution and pull the power from a centralized government back to the states where it belongs. And I don't care if it's one of the 3 different proposed amendments, no matter what it is. If we take action and we strike and we pass an amendment as the people, that sets a precedent and it brings it to the forefront. And
it's the only way, Jack.
Huh?
It's the only way.
Yeah. And finally, what I want more than anything, I don't care what amendment it is, I want people to understand that we have the power. They don't. They don't believe it. We've been lulled into believing that we're helpless and we're going to have to rely on someone else. But there has never been, over the last 100 years or more, anyone else that stops this. It doesn't matter. They trade
and
back
nobody
and
will.
forth. Republic, huh?
And nobody will.
No, they won't. I mean, they
no
trade back
Superman.
and forth, Republican, Democrat. It's like a ping pong ball, right? And you have the good and bad of both sides. But when all is said and done, a lot of this is about leveraging their power, personal gain for themselves, for their families, incentivizing corporations, whether it's let's go to war and then let's bring in construction companies that make tons of dough, or whatever it may be. We should be tired of all of that. And we should trust.
We're not, though.
Yeah, we should trust no one. And not to say people aren't worth trusting, but there is no one. We can't put our trust in any one individual, because one individual can't solve it. It has to be solved collectively. All right, I'm done with my rant. Back. Boom.
Jack, I'm gonna hit up some of the comments here. We got a few that came in. I want to start with Bill Burns here, just to let him know I could take it. He said, "Laugh out loud, boo effing who." So, and there's I get it. It ain't worth it ain't worth the anger that I'm giving to it. But honestly, it's kind of this is the sort of thing that's just pent up in me over time, and
It's
a
a
lot of it has to
springboard.
do with the fact of what Jack just said, is that I'm sitting here, and we're trying to preach on this channel in general from the highest mountain to try and reteach people how this country is supposed to work. Like the fact that the president of the United States not only can't save you, he's not the most powerful person, and he's not the most powerful branch in this country. And neither is Congress, and neither is the court. It's the state legislatures. And over time, we've passed all this BS, and we've put the 17th Amendment, all of this nonsense to take the power away from the states. And now it's been in place for so long that people don't even realize what the intentions were of the founding documents and how this was supposed to work. And the fact that we're still after the first 4 years of Trump, and having all of this stuff exposed, we are still now just doing the same BS rat race of 2024, 2024, like nothing. Absolutely. And when I say nothing, I mean literally nothing is going to happen in 2024 to stop anything that any of the big issues that are going on. What you'll get is a stop to the madness of the vaccine mandates and that sort of stuff. A brief stop. You'll get a pause of that for 4 years, depending on who gets the next election. As soon as that next election comes down, that problem will never have been fixed, so it'll come right back again, and we'll, and that's the thing. So there's no unless we fix this permanently, it's not getting fixed. Let me. And then we've got Barbara Norman says he lost me with the vaccine push. Yeah, because of his narcissism, he sat there while everyone. And this was a great one to me, because watching the diehard person's head explode when he did this, and he goes on and starts telling people this is the greatest invention, this vaccine, since the beginning of time, and this is the greatest vaccine in our history. And he did that because it's all about Trump. Right, that's why he did it, and there's no way he's going to he knows that everybody hates this friggin' vaccine, but he ain't going to go on there and say, I authorized this, I sped this, I did Operation Warp Speed or whatever the hell it was. He's not owning that. He'll own that he did it because he has to, but like, he ain't owning that the vaccine's a friggin' nightmare. Like, he's not going to own the fact that they scared him too. And I'm not mad at him for that. He didn't know. The hell knows about friggin', people come up to you and they start telling you, look, you're the one who's going to make the decision that could kill hundreds of thousands of people. You're like, oh my God. All right, well, do it then. Right. And then you find out that it was grimy and it didn't work and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is, when a microphone's put in front of him, did he turn around and go, wow, I probably should have, I probably should have went and got some outside the house, opinions for making those decisions for Warp Speed and everything else, because, it does seem that hydrochloroquine was working. It does seem, at the end that all of these things were working, but he didn't do that. Like, he just said, nope, this is the greatest thing ever because I did it. That's why it's the greatest thing ever. And that opened up a lot of people's eyes, but not everybody. We still got doo-doo-doos out there painting crowns on this guy's head and running around like it's something friggin' meaningful. Robbie G, balanced budget will stop the World Economic Forum. They need our money. Convention of States. Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to stop WEF? Trump will only put it on hold. He'll put it on hold. I ain't saying he's in with them, but there's only so much one human being can do. You want to stop these great reset sociopaths? We have to do it. So you got all these people scaring you guys about conventions. There's going to be a runaway convention. We got a runaway world right now. All right? If we can't trust ourselves, it's all lost anyway. So in the end, yeah, this is where it comes in. And then Kathy says foreign affairs, border control, Second Amendment, our constitutional rights, energy independence. Plus, he gets, so this is obviously a pro Trump thing. So, plus, he gets why the far left is dangerous. And if, which you're doubtful about, he were to get into the White House again, I think Congress would change too. So many, yeah. I don't know about Congress changing too. To me, it's like one or the other, dude. Like they fix one side or the other. So like they'll fix the presidency on there. People go, well, how do Republicans win this and Democrats win the main ticket? Because to me, like my thesis, and it really is just a hypothesis, is that this game has been fixed long before Trump. And this is what, because it makes no sense, right? Who do you know that shows up at an election box and friggin' votes for a Democrat on the top of the ticket and then all Republicans underneath? Or even vice versa. Who shows up and votes for friggin', a Republican at the top of the ticket and all Democrats underneath? But yet somehow we always end up with these gridlocked Congresses. Somehow that always happens. Like the anomaly of a human being who goes in and does that. Like to me, this is just how they're playing the game to make sure nothing gets done. Like you go ahead and you appease the Republicans and give them the governor or the president or whatever, but then you go ahead and appease the left and give them enough people underground in the lower branches or in the I guess they're all horizontal, but like in the other branches, you give them in the Congress their share of people so that they can make sure that nothing that the main guy wants to do gets done. And this game has been played forever. And then they'll give them a one term or 2 years, not even one term. They'll give them 2 years of one, all right, you got it all now, so it can happen. And then every time it happens, it turns the other. 100% of the times it happens in recent years, it turns the other way after the 2 years. And then the president spends the rest of the time, back and forth, nothing ever gets done. Nothing ever gets done. But fortunately, she does get what I'm saying. but it's how our country is run. Look, I agree and I disagree. I don't know that that's how our country is supposed to be run. Like I said, I don't believe, and that's my problem. That's the issue that I have, is that I don't believe that there's that many people. Like all the pundits believe it. They talk about it like it's crazy to me how little thought gets put into this. They're like, well, that's been that way forever. There's so many elections have been that way. So instead of thinking, okay, then maybe this is, maybe this has been bad for so many elections, they're like, no, the other elections are proof that this one is fine. It's like I'm not seeing it that way. I'm just not seeing it that way. Like I just see it as being dirty all the way around. And it says Niles Bush Jr., we have the power. We do. Yes, we do. And people need to understand that. They need to understand that. Another one, it's years of conditioning. Jack, jump in on any of these if you want. It's years of conditioning to be law-abiding and never question the government. And it's our turn to shine, right? Absolutely. Play offense, right? This is what we're talking about here. Play offense. Stop playing defense. Stop posting stuff like and following these coconuts who are telling you the WHO is going to take our sovereignty. Like, understand how these things work and know that can't happen, and stop watching the person who tried to light you up on that. All right. And Steve Bannon, is one of them. I'm going to call him out right now. He was preaching that crap forever. And then he turns around on the midnight hour and goes, oh, looks like they didn't vote on it. Looks like we're off the hook. Yeah. Okay. Like, sure. We're off the hook. How many episodes did people cling to your freaking show waiting to hear the next update on how the people are fighting back against the WHO? Like it's just nonsense. Stop listening to people. There's one path. One. That's it. It doesn't matter all the little nuances that go on. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. They're trying to do. Forget all that. It's noise. Get rid of it. Get it out of your head. There's one thing you should be focused on right now, and that's getting this convention called. One thing. That's it. Because 90%, not all, There's still going to be work to do, and you know, just like Michael Arnold said in the interview we did with him, like it's not over once the 34 resolutions pass either. Like we got to stay on that. We need to be engaged locally with who's getting chosen as delegates. We need to be engaged, you know, with what the issues are and what gets on the table. Like we need to be engaged with that entire process. But that's where the focus needs to be. Not in any of this others. I don't care that the Rothschilds and the history of the central bank and like I don't care about any of that. The only thing that matters is the solution right now. There is a solution, and we're just not paying attention to it, and it drives me nuts. I know that Facebook and YouTube and whatever. I know they're not fans of the conversation. I know our distribution sucks since we started talking about this in the Great Reset. But the reality is, this is where it's at. So it's on us to share this information. If you don't know what convention of states is, if this is new to you, if you're on here for the first time and you haven't heard this before, check out our YouTube channel. We've got convention of states for dummy videos. We've got runaway convention videos that are debunking that. We've got all of it. We've got all of it.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to address the same question that you did, or the same comment. It says it's years of conditioning. And I'm just going to throw something out there, but I'm not going to spell it out to the end. And what I mean by that is, if you were to go on YouTube and pull up the sorry, the national anthem, and the national anthem, as far as when the TV stations went off, at the end of the night. But there's probably a lot of people that don't remember this, but at the end of the night, every night on every channel, the national anthem played, right? If you find some old footage of that national anthem playing, play it frame by frame. Play it frame by frame and watch what words. So there'll be a sentence that appears, but different letters appear first that create a different sentence. You'll be shocked at the sentences that are laid into our national anthem. And so, talk about conditioning.
Yeah.
And it's a fact. Do it. I don't want to tell people what it is. I want them to find it themselves.
Honestly, I've never heard that exercise. I'm going to do it myself now.
Yeah, go do it and check it out.
A couple beers after this and go through that and run that exercise, because that's the crazy kind of stuff that I find fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the last 2 years, I think all of us have been digging into all kinds of weird stuff, and some of it's weird for real, and some of it we wish were weird, but it's real. You know, there are things that we've discovered that it's like, oh my God, where was I?
Like out of a novel.
Yeah, I mean, I was so busy living my life, trying to take care of my family, and my eyes were closed. And my brother-in-law, who's a sergeant major in the Army, he would get upset with me because I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I used to tell him, I'm too busy trying to take care of your daughter or my kid or your sister or my kids, right? But still, I mean, he was all into everything. And
yeah, well, that's like I was saying. I say, you know, all the time. Like, there's a point of this where you got to humble yourself, and this goes with the MAGA stuff too. Like, you got to just accept. Like I used to be all for the Patriot Act. You know, I was all for going into Iraq. I was eating the soup like a good little boy. I was just eating that soup, and I was just like, yeah, they're protecting us. It's for our safety. Yeah. No, the Patriot Act's only temporary. They're gonna vote on it every couple of years, and as soon as the threat's gone, they're gonna get rid of it. And here we are, you know, 20 years later, 22 years later, 21 years later, whatever, and it's still there. It hasn't gone away.
Yeah, look what just happened. Gas prices went up, right? They're blaming it on the Russians. But what bill are they introducing right now? They're introducing a bill that is like anti-corruption or whatever, you know, price regulation. Now, I went in and I read some of that bill. And basically, they're asking every oil company, every transportation company to feed them a tremendous amount of data to look at it from a price fixing standpoint. Why in the world are we doing this now when we could just simply produce more fuel? So part of me thinks to myself, and I have nothing that I can say makes this fact, but part of it is like, all right, let's create this or manufacture this fuel shortage. Let's throw in all these rules and regulations. And then when the problem gets fixed, all the rules and regulations will still be there, but we'll be able to have total insight into the margins of all of these different companies. It's gone way too far. They don't
Yep.
address the issue. It's sometimes I feel like they create the issue so that they can address it in a totally different way, which requires them to add more and more government, more and more rules and regulations, not addressing the underlying issue. Let's not just produce more oil. Let's figure out how to keep prices down because we don't have any. No, it doesn't add up. Does that make
Yeah, no.
sense? Am I making
Look,
that
what's
clear?
going on right now is intentional, and it's pissing me off on a whole nother level. I
Yeah,
could
I
do a
almost
whole
don't
other
want to say
episode on
that,
that.
but
But check out this comment. Can you see? You ready, Jack? It
yeah.
says George and Jack 2024.
I might even live that long.
I know, but in 2024, you're going to be like Biden, like walking around looking for looking for the
You know
microphone.
something?
No, God forbid, right? Let's not even. I don't even want to say that. So I'm going to go through a few more of these. I've been highlighting some of the comments, but I want to go ahead and give us an opportunity to kind of speak to them. So politicians have become the mob. Yes, absolutely. Look, they've been the mob, right? Like it is not new. I mean, they've been the mob. Like we've just been operating under mob rule for a long time, right? Red wave. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, look, if this ain't a red wave coming up, then we know, like we know that the elections are freaking rigged. Like if they turn around and do one of those, well, you got 5 seats in the House, and you got, I'm like, no, like no, like everywhere on earth right now hates Joe Biden. Like other world leaders hate, everybody hates Joe Biden. Like the one thing he has done to unify people is everyone is unified in a hatred of him, and that is that is across the spectrum. The only people defending him are the people who don't want to admit they voted for him. All right, so and then right on that point, look at the president and Congress right now. Yeah, of course. Look at them, right? So, and then Barbara here is both sides are corrupt. Alaska has stopped having party primaries. Yeah, it's it's getting bad. I mean, it's getting bad all around. And this is all in the federal level, right, folks? So like as you see, and this is why I say once you see, you can't unsee, because people say to us like, well, you don't trust the government, but you're going to trust state legislatures. Yeah, I'm absolutely yes to that question as it comes up. Because state legislatures, if you follow them and you watch them, and I've been watching them in many states now as I've been following this convention of states movement as it goes on, and even the ones this year, the 4 states that signed their resolutions and passed them this year, you listen to them talk. These people are clearly connected. We just had Mike Arnold on, the state director in Massachusetts for Convention of States Action, and I asked him that very question, like the difference, in accessibility between local and federal politicians, and he's like, I got their cell phone number. he's like. He's like, I could call them, and they answer. It's not like he's got some bogus number. Like they answer the phone. So yeah, both sides are corrupt, but you know what? It's more federal than it is local, and this is why the founders set it up the way they did, and this is why the Marxists are trying to unset it up that way for the last century or so. And
Yeah,
it's
you know
important
what,
we all
George?
understand that.
George, throw out a challenge, and this is not necessarily to our listeners, but to any of our listeners that run into people that are skeptic. Throw out a challenge to those people that are skeptic and say, send a message to your state senator, and then send a message to your local representative and see which one answers you. Ask
Yeah,
for
when you say state senator, you mean federal, right? Like
federal. Yeah, your
yeah,
state's,
like the
yeah,
one
not the
representing the
state
whole state.
senate, your federal senator or your congressperson, right? Send a message to them and ask for a response. Then send one to your local representative and ask for a response and see which one gives you a response, right?
Yeah, and
That
honestly, just like they do at convention of states, handwrite that letter. Like,
handwrite
like,
it.
like, yeah. Mike Arnold was telling me, like, because I know I went to a handwriting letter party that they had here in California, where we got together, we had some beers, we had some food, hung out, nothing crazy, but we got there for an event to go ahead and handwrite letters to our local representatives, and by doing so, like those letters, Mike Arnold was saying, like, they're incredibly impactful, and they are. And you handwrite a letter to your federal congressperson, I guarantee you it never makes it to their desk. You do it to a local legislator, I guarantee you they read it. Just think about opening your mail one day and seeing a handwritten letter in there, and tell me you're not going to open that. Tell me you're not going to read that. Somebody sat down and took the time to handwrite a letter to you. You're not going to read it. They show them all the time. They flash them in court, on the floor when they're debating, because there's constantly. I was speaking to my constituent. A constituent met with me in my office today. Yeah, you have to schedule the appointments. You don't just barge in on them, but you can schedule these things. You don't need to be in charge of a million people in order to do that. Like they take you serious. Like it's not a joke. Like they take, if you feel like you got an issue that's big enough and that there's enough going on behind you with it, they will absolutely sit down with you. And then it says, now that we've seen elections have been fixed for a long time, both sides of this two-party system are full of poop, and our founding fathers would poop themselves. I just think poop is a much funnier word. If they could see, yeah. So I don't think, here's the difference there, Niles. I don't think the founders would be shocked at all. I used to joke about this, that if the founders were the time portal here today, and we explained to them what the federal government was like, they'd be like, I feel like they'd start exchanging money. And we'd be like, well, what the hell are you doing? And it'd be
Yeah, we
like,
told you so.
he's like, I had 2050. I had 2050, and that's the closest. No. You said the government would get this way by 1950. You're way off. I won this one. Like, as if they all took wagers on how long it would take for this to happen. Mason actually spoke to this very clearly. And Madison puts it in his notes where he talks about Mason's opinion as he argued for the editing of Article 5 just a couple days before the convention ended, and says that, like, he felt that the federal government would get out of control, and they said Mason verily believed that this would be the case, and so did everybody else in the convention, because they added it in. They added in the convention of states option with no debate. So the founders would not have been shocked that this happened. I don't think there was a founder among them who was so ignorant. Well, there actually were one or two, but there were almost, even that one or two voted for it. So, like, in the end, they were fully and keenly aware that it is the nature of all governments to grow, and that at some point we would get. Did they know about the psycho-Marxism and the sociopaths at WEF? No, they didn't know that specifically. But those people are just a byproduct of the natural progression of government, and just think of how long it took them to try and take down this system, and they haven't won yet. They're still at it. But now we're waking up, and now, because the founders saw this coming, because they knew that this was inevitable, we have a tool to fight it, and that's Article 5, and that's the Convention of States. And it just, in following this, every single one of these states where grassroots is on fire, every one of, even Massachusetts, which, this is why we had Michael Arnold on, because I am just absolutely blown away by the man's leadership and the grassroots in Massachusetts. I am just absolutely blown away at the team that they have put together in Massachusetts, because, well, it's Massachusetts. And so with everyone on the left trying to turn this into a left versus right thing, and everyone, understanding who's just a part of it, that it's not a left versus right thing. People in Massachusetts just got fired up and brought that fire to the legislature respectfully, and were respectful the entire way. No bomb throwing, no rowdy screaming and yelling, just reaching out, making it known, showing up to hearings, those sorts of things. And it was respected by the local legislature. And it passed commission, the first blue state the first blue state, and the fact of the matter is, there were 14 Democrats on that initial committee that allowed it to move through. 14, and yet it still moved through because there were so many people, so many constituents that were screaming that it should go through. They felt like they had no choice. They can't let the House and Senate vote this down. We're not putting this to a vote. Like this is like there's way too much action around this to not put it to a vote, and it passed committee. That's straight grassroots fire right there. That's how the country's supposed to run. Like what Michael Arnold is doing down there in freaking Massachusetts is epic. It's just epic. And I know others, Connecticut is work. These people are up against the fire, right? Like, these people are up against. Imagine trying to be in Connecticut or Massachusetts as someone tasking you with getting a convention of states to rein in the spending of the federal government. It's almost like if I didn't see it done, I might have laughed at someone and said, like, yeah, good luck with that. But then here he is, right? And he does it. It's just impressive. It's just overall impressive. Excuse me. All right, let's see what we got here. So, our republic literally hangs by a thread. We need to be in uncomfortable conditions so children will be free. Yeah, absolutely. I get what you're saying there. Why some of us can see this and how some cannot. And that's part of what we're getting to, right? You might need one of these T-shirts. You can find the link on the website. But yeah, it's definitely true. It bugs me out too how some people don't see it, and it's really just, it's like Jack was saying earlier, like, people don't want to see it. Like, you go through life and you're taking care of your kids and you're doing your thing, and life's got enough curveballs that it throws at you on its own. You don't need this. It's like, I don't need to know that there's an international cabal trying to take this. Like, it sounds like something out of the show Blacklist, right? Like you don't need that drama in your life.
Yeah, I mean, life. You're trying to create or maintain some level of order out of the chaos that is in life. And then to one day find out that the chaos is being created as opposed to it just being life. They're making it harder than it needs to be. And
Right.
when you wake up to that fact, it's like, all right, we do need to create chaos or create order out of chaos. And we need to grab control. And if we don't, it's going to spiral in the opposite direction, and we'll turn into more and more like Canada, and then go even further to Australia, and it just gets worse
Dude,
from there, right?
at this point, it's almost like Canada's in the same shoes. We're almost on equal ground now.
I don't
With
know.
Canada.
Trudeau he's a whack job.
No, I know, but no doubt. But like, the point is, it's getting the only difference in Canada is they don't have the champions on the right on the same level. That, like, they don't have the DeSantis's out there, and these governors, and the system's set up differently. So it's not, they don't have the state sovereignty to the degree that we do. Like, it seems to be the same because of the way we've executed it. But if we actually decided to execute it the way it's designed to be executed, like, our governors have a ton of power, like ton.
Yeah, there's no country in this world that has
it's not a dig
the
on
opportunity to do what we can do. We are the great experiment. People forget when our forefathers came here and left Europe, they wanted their religious freedoms. They wanted to leave the problems of Europe behind. And now the globalists want to bring it all. Come on back in. The water's fine. And you actually have people that are saying, oh, we care about how the folks in Europe look at us. Let's remember that the folks from Europe were us, or they left Europe and became us. And we grew from that. We have, they had a natural disdain for those countries. And now we want to join them.
Yeah, and
No.
Jack, when I look at these people in Europe, like, the more people I meet from Europe that I meet in person, the more I realize that the narrative about them isn't even really true.
No, it's not.
And
They
I know for
envy
the
us.
Brits especially, Like the Brits are very American minded in that way, where they want their autonomy. They were not having it with the euro. They ended up doing Brexit. Like they're not digging this whole, one world anything. Some of Europe, maybe. Like some of Europe, maybe. But like in the end, like, hey, just at the blackjack tables the other day, just the other night, I'm sitting there and I had two guys of all people to sit down next to me. I get two Ukrainian dudes who are speaking Russian, and they speak both. They spoke perfect English, but they spoke Russian too. And like, of course we got into a conversation, right? So like, they just sat there and literally for me validated, because they were like, my guess is they told me where they were from in Ukraine, but I don't remember the name of it, but I'm guessing it was in Western Ukraine, because they were speaking Russian. So like if they're speaking Russian, to me that says you're either Crimea or somewhere else in Western Ukraine. But the point is, they along with our boy Evan that jumps on from TikTok in Kazakhstan all the time, and different people that have jumped on internationally. Even Russians have jumped on the show once in a while through TikTok. Not TikTok, through I keep saying TikTok,
Twitch.
through, Twitch. And they jump on, and all of them have the same feedback. Like, you're absolutely right. Like this whole thing, Zelensky is in on this whole thing. This is not, this is all smoke and mirrors. Like it's all garbage. Matter of fact, I think those two guys are subscribed to the channel now. So I wouldn't doubt if they're even watching it. If you're watching right now, go ahead and put it on in the comments. So Sheila Marie Malloy, we need more poll watchers and Dropbox watchers in New Jersey. Absolutely. We need them all over the country, right? But for sure, Jersey is definitely a hotbed. Honestly, I think every state that handles drop boxes effectively will, if we can do that, and this is going to bother me if we can't. Okay, it's going to bother me if we can't. If we allow another election cycle to go with these unwatched drop boxes just sitting out there, when the fact, like, stop waiting for your. This is just like convention of states. Like, stop waiting for your state secretary of state to do something about this, because they're in on it. All right, they're in on it. The secretary of state of each of the states that were fallen, all right, that were suspect, I should say. All right, all of those secretaries of states are suspect, every one of them. So if it's still the same person, you should be angry about that. You should be going to your local legislator and having go where the power is. Go to your state legislature and take them out, right? But in the end, for now, it's too close. For now, we need to have people on our own that if you see an organization, I know Sheila once before had commented that there are organizations out there doing this. Really, because we'll donate money. Everybody will donate money to an organization like that. Like, if you need to pay someone 24-hour cycle to just sit there with a cell phone camera, and every time someone comes up to drop it, you record them, you get their face, you get the whole nine, right? How many ballots they're dropping, the whole nine. There's nothing illegal about that. We do that effectively, all right? And this is why I think Trump was in over his head when the election happened, because and the RNC clearly is in on it, because they did nothing to stop this either. How did I know that was going to happen? And Trump and these guys and the RNC didn't know. How do they not know that this thing they were going to try to fix this? Like, how did they not know that? Like, the fact that they let that happen tells me they're not nearly as prepared for everything as everyone would like to hope. And that sucks. But you know what? All it means is what it always meant, and that's the job is ours, not theirs. It's not Trump's job to save this country. It's we the people's job to save this country. That's the bottom line. If Trump really wants to go down in history, if he really wants to be next level, support convention of states.
Yeah.
Because they'll be talking about you 250 years from now.
If you're not willing to save yourself, you don't deserve it.
Absolutely. And that's, that's actually not
an accountability.
And that's real for Trump too. Like, let that message get to Trump and sink in. You want to be talked about 250 years from now? There's nothing you're going to do in your second term that's going to make that happen. They may talk about you 200 years from now, but they're going to talk about your first term. There's nothing in your second term that is even possible that's going to go down in history. What's going to go down, and what would go down in history forever would be truly to make America great again and restrict the power of the federal government permanently. And if let the Marxists now have to sell 34 states and freaking 38 to ratify. Let them sell that bag of goods to that many let them get consensus on that bag of goods on that level, because it won't happen. Once that there will be consensus for the issues at hand, right? Term limits, fiscal restraints, and government overreach. Those are all issues the left and right can agree on. The only people that can't agree on that are Marxists. And good luck to the Marxists trying to get that overturned once it's in. It'll never happen. The country will be changed in a positive way forever. Forever. And then, yeah, there'll always be problems. There'll always be issues. It doesn't make it utopia. But the major issues, the overspending, the regulatory agencies, the presidential overreach, all of those issues are done in one shot. Bang. Then we can start looking at other stuff.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
George. Hey, George, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So if we want to bring this thing full circle, I just wanted to say that and let our audience know right now is a good time to get online. They're having a sale on MAGA King coins. And so they have a new website out. You can get the MAGA King coins. It's
Yeah.
you
So
get
Jack's going
silver
for the
or
trigger.
gold. Huh?
Jack's going for the trigger. He's trying. Are you trying to elicit a response out of me, Jack?
Yes.
All right. I'm back to normal.
That's it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And look, let me hit a few more comments here just to make sure we get it. We got a lot of action going on in the chat box. But chat box is today. Fortunately, I get them all in one stream from all the platforms. But from let's see. Sorry, this one was convention of states must happen. Right, saying thank you, gentlemen. You're welcome, Niles. Thank you for jumping on.
Yeah, thank you, Niles.
Lorna, Lorna, you were with us. I remember we had answered some questions on convention of states to you in a few episodes ago. I remember you. Welcome back. Thank you for joining again. There were some more here that I saw. Let me see. I think I did a quick scroll by accident and like shot past some stuff. So. Yeah, handwritten letters are key. Absolutely, right? Handwritten letters, huge impact. Like I said, everybody opens and reads a handwritten letter, right? So it's just something that seems to come natural. And then we've got, if our founding fathers were here today, they'd be telling us to use Article 5. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I meant when I said, they would not be shocked, right? They'd be like, well, so what's the problem? Like whenever you're ready, guys. Like I feel like that would have been the response. Like whenever you're ready, we wrote it in there. Like I don't understand. What's the problem? Oh, you don't trust you. Is that the issue? You don't trust you. Okay. That's new. We didn't count for that one. We just assumed.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
Like always, we're driving towards a solution here. And so, everyone knows the solution that we're talking about is convention of states. I'd like to let the folks listening know that if they do have people that they're engaged with, one of the things that they can do is point them towards our website. And on our website, we have every state listed, and each state that's already put forth and approved convention of states, we have that full amendment laid out, or the list of amendments, the actual documents, so you can read that article yourself.
The resolutions.
Yeah, the resolutions. Yep. Thank you. I was lost for the word. So you can read the resolutions, and then you can also see where your state is at if they haven't put forward a resolution, and then try and get behind that. And again, most of the people
and there's
that
a link
are listening,
to sign the petition too.
Sign the petition. And most of the people, that are listening have probably done that already. But
no way, man. We're turning people, Jack. We're turning people.
That's true.
We're turning them to the light.
Hopefully we're not turning them off. You going around putting down the King, Trump. What are you doing,
He had
George?
it coming. I don't do authority too well. Hey, so we got anyone who watched the 2000 Mules and still thinks that it's not rigged has their head up there. Yeah. I think 2000 Mules is pretty powerful. Jack and I commented on that when it came out, and I think it was really powerful. And look, they're going after it, right?
They're taking
That's what
action.
we asked for, and that's what they're doing. Like now in Yuma, they went into the for that one woman in 2,000 Mules, they had her all shadowed out, but she was like that. They asked her, "Are the elections fair and clean in San Luis City?" And she said, "No, they're fixed. They've always been fixed. Whatever." You know what? She turned around and well, not she turned around. The state officials turned around and started dropping search warrants and investigating in Yuma and San Luis. So it's starting. The ball's
They're
rolling.
doing the same in Georgia now.
Oh, are they really? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
here in
look,
Georgia.
it's
Yep.
irresponsible at this point for law enforcement to not take that information and move forward with it. And I just pray, I pray that the legislators who went all out telling everybody, because there are some people who really believed it was a big lie. It was because they're just, this can't happen. This United States, all that, and went ahead and just said, oh, we're not dealing with this. We're not dealing with this. I hope those people have enough humility to look at themselves and say, all right, this does need an investigation. Maybe I was wrong. And hopefully they have that humility, because it does take humility. It takes humility. Look, it takes humility to criticize somebody putting up or to realize that you were celebrating a image of MAGA King and not realizing the irony of it and how crazy that is. And it takes humility for someone like me to realize how stupid I was when I supported the Patriot Act. Like, there's humility that's got to come. You've got to have that element of humbleness if you're ever going to grow and accept the fact that you screwed up. And I just hope these people have that, because if they don't, then it's just going to become stick your heels in the ground and try and continue on with bad policy, just because you don't want to be wrong and you don't want to accept that you were wrong. So Niles Bush Jr., we're fed up. We're fed lies and narratives by the mainstream media, and our government, just like other countries, control people through the media. That's why it's a global control thing. Yes, and that's very true. And look, the movement is global, right? I think, my focus is on convention of states, because while I think every citizen of every country who's freedom loving and has their eyes open needs to be aware and needs to be active and needs to fight. Okay. In that sense, we are all in this together. But I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that, it's like Yuri Bezmenov said back in the 80s. Like, if the United States falls, there's nowhere left to defect to. He said, unlike me, you will have nowhere left to defect to. And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely like I'm not even trying to waste time. And I say waste time tongue in cheek, but trying to open the eyes of these really young ones. Like, I'd love to. Like, our audience starts at the age of 30 or so. There's a few that trickle in, very few that trickle in the 20s and Lord knows, 18. But like the vast majority of our viewership is above the age of 30. And the fact of the matter is, that's all I'm focused on right now. If I could bring a youth to the light, aside from my children who I've already brought to the light, but if I can convince someone younger to wake up and see what they're trying to pump into their head, then I will absolutely do that. But right now, it's the 30 somethings and above that are going to, 30s to baby boomer, that are going to save the world. Like that's where we're at. And it's really not an overstatement to say they're going to save the world. It's very true. All right. So So Sheila here is commenting, I believe, on my comment about watching the drop boxes 24 hours. If everyone takes 2-hour shifts, we can loosely monitor the drop boxes. Yeah, I don't want to loosely monitor them. Look, two things. Number one, we shouldn't have to do this. So if it comes down to the point where we have to do this because no one else will, then whoever's in office at that time on the local level needs to be removed. Like that's where that's at, right? So it doesn't mean when I say we shouldn't have to do it, we have to do it if no one else will. But in the end, if we have to do it because our state legislatures won't, well, that's when we start writing different kinds of letters to our state legislatures. Because again, I want to focus everybody on the power within, and the power in this country is not in Congress. It's not in the courts. It's not in the presidency. That's poison pills that you've been fed. We've all been fed. Our parents and grandparents have been fed. Our grandparents' grandparents have been fed at this point. The power resides with the states. That's it. Not just the states, not governors, not secretaries of state, with your state legislatures. That's who you go to make change.
Hey,
That's where it comes
George,
from. Yeah.
George, there's a comment up there about Trudeau taking guns away in Canada.
Let me see.
I haven't heard it yet.
I'm not sure if what are you looking at it on?
It is on
Oh, I see it.
YouTube.
I see it. Yeah, yeah. You're ahead of me. You're ahead of me. Sorry, man. We got some. Well, actually, maybe not. Maybe there was one laugh out loud, so I'll assume they were laughing at me. Just playing. That was Sheila. And then let's see. I got one here. It says just announced it today. Took advantage of our shooting. I'm probably behind on that one. My apologies, Sylvia, but I think I know what you mean by. I mean, I know what you mean by that, but I think I know what it was related to. So, um, as far as when she says just announced today, um, if you could clarify that for me, because it probably would make sense if I'd have seen it come through.
She's talking about Trudeau. So,
oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah. So, did I pass the Trudeau one already? Hold on.
Yeah, it's right before that one. When it says just announced today, it's right before that one.
All right, hold on.
All right.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hi, and then it says Trudeau is taking guns. You know, look, I'm not that familiar with the. How did I lose that? I'm not that familiar with Canada's constitution and such, but I'm pretty sure we're the only ones that have the guarantee. So, in the end, you know, when it comes down to it, look, you've got, you know, hate speech is a thing in the UK and in other places. London is under 24-hour surveillance. You know, there's when I say to people that there's only one free country in this world, I mean it. Like, people look at these other countries as if they're free, and they're only allowed to be free. There's a difference. Australia learned that the hard way. Like, Australians thought they were free, and then all of a sudden, you know, $7,000 for walking out of your house without an excuse. You needed an excuse to leave your house, or you got fined seven. I mean, that's a free people right there. So I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure what it takes to get people to understand that, but there is only one truly free where it's all protected. And trust me, they've been trying to take it away from us. They've been trying, you know, they're using the private sector. And that's a part of why our Constitution is a part of why the WEF is going about things the way they do, is because the whole goal here is to get around the US Constitution, because that's the one that really matters. Because to them, and I don't mean like we're more important than you or whatever if you're in another country. I mean, they know as well as anyone that the end game is the United States. Because when the United States falls, there's nowhere left. Everyone else falls with it. Jack, do I still have you on audio? I lost you on video. You're like frozen.
Yeah, I know. I'm having a bit of a computer issue. I'm trying to resolve it. I might end up having to pull the plug.
All right, all good. Anyway, we're getting. I was going to only go for another 10 minutes anyway, so I'll get through the comments here. Quick recap, and then I'm still hearing you, so that's fine.
Yeah, I'll listen in.
Sheila says here, I saw it on Newsmax just a couple hours ago. They can't buy or sell guns. And I'm assuming that's a reference to Canada. So yeah, look, Canada is look, we always play our games with Canada, right? Like the Canadian people, like, oh, they're nicer, you guys are mean, whatever. But it's kind of like the relationship between Canadians and Americans is really, in my opinion, it's really more like, we can insult each other as much as we want, but if somebody else steps in and then it's like, we got to give the smackdown. So like we have to provide the support for these folks over there, and they, look, they don't have the paths that we have. So they're gonna have to get creative. The trucker thing was incredibly creative. They're gonna have to get creative and do their thing to make it to make some differences. And they've been doing that. They've been doing that. And if there's anything we can do, of course, to get down with that, then so be it. And Sylvia says, I meant to say thank God for the Constitution and cause. Yeah, thank God. Like people don't appreciate our Constitution for as crazy as it is, but you know what? It has been battered beaten and scarred, but it's still in one piece and it's still holding. Still holding. They have not been able to take away our speech. They have not been able to take away other avenues that we utilize. They have not been able to mess. They've been tried. They come up with all these weird little rules like you can't have more than 10 bullet or 10 bullets in a cartridge and et cetera. But you know what? Like that's getting shot down too. That one in California got shot down in San Diego, got shot down in the Ninth Circuit. They're going to try and do it one more time. It's going to get shot down again. And then you're going to be allowed to have higher clip magazines. So that's, we win. The Constitution so far wins, but the way I see this is like literally we're like 3 Ruth Bader Ginsburgs away from losing everything. So like let's get this convention called before something like that goes down. Because as Antonin Scalia showed us, Supreme Court justices are they're not invincible. So in the end, we need to not think they're going to live forever. And really, that won't even matter when we slap term limits on them. So let's just keep it all in mind. All right. All right. So it looks like Jack, you still with us? All right, I might have lost Jack. Oh, there he is. All right, cool. So you're still frozen on the screen because if anyone doesn't know what's going on with Jack's internet, Jack's in deep deep woods, Georgia, and is dealing with whatever internet he can get, which is a 1.5 megabit per second upload. So you're seeing what the result of a 1.5 per second upload is, and it's not overly good. We're actually happy he got through the majority of this. So, Jack, anything you want to close out with?
No, I mean, nothing that wouldn't be redundant. I mean, just kind of recapping. Look, we're behind Trump. The idea of him being a king is kind of ridiculous and silly. I'd like to think that most of it was intended to be ridiculous and silly and fun, and people aren't really behind that whole, idea of a king because it's kind of ludicrous. And I think at the bottom of, the end of the day, look, we want Trump or really DeSantis, let's say, in office to fight against the leftist Marxists that are out there, and start to reel them back in. But at the end of the day, we recognize that regardless of that, we really need to do our part as the people and take action and enact the Convention of States, Article 5, and reel in the powers of the federal government once and for all. Otherwise, we're looking at a delay at best. I may live the rest of my life and get through it and not have to deal with that. But ultimately, it's going to come to a head, and the globalists will win the game because it's such a long-term, boring game to play that it lulls everybody to sleep, and they're busy thinking about their day-to-day lives. And we're at a unique point in time where we've had such an explosion amongst the people in terms of looking at what's going on around the world. And, let's say they're waking up. And so it's a very unique moment. And we need to capitalize on that moment and take advantage of the fact that they realize something's wrong and spread the solution, because people are receptive to it now more than ever. Yeah, there's a lot of cynics out there. Myself was always included in that. I'm a New Yorker, and you're just born being cynical, right? And so, but right now there's a lot of people that are out there and they're open, and we just need to, even if they're only partially open, if you're listening to this and you agree, then you need to hone your skills and learn to argue for the case of Article 5, convert people, and hopefully they'll argue for it, because it's worth arguing for. It's our only saving grace. So, yeah, George, I guess I did have something to finally say.
Good. No, I appreciate it, and I agree with you 100%. And Kathy here says, you're right, Jack. And you are, right? It's all about the solution. And look, go if you haven't done it already, if you haven't signed on for Convention of States already, go to our website, www.thepatriotthinktank.com/COS. Okay, that'll just take you right to the page. Click on the click on the petition button. All right. Once you're in there and you're putting in your address, so they show you who your representative is, and then once they'll send a letter on your behalf, and then there's a button there that says click. If you want to get active, click that. Okay, click that. Don't be I don't have time, I gotta worry about this. Like, just click it. They'll figure out something that works with your schedule. Maybe it'll be just showing up to one event, every once in a blue. But the point is, we need you on the rolls. We need you to know when things are going out. We need you to know, and I say we as if I'm officially affiliated with Cause Action. I'm not. But they need you. We need you as a movement, right? They need you to be able to communicate to you. I need you to do it because I need them to be able to communicate with you. So you could be a social media warrior. A lot of things you can do, but just get involved and participate, because it does matter. All right. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're smashing that. Hey, there's Jack. Now he's moving. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Smash, and no matter what platform you're watching, please hit the like button if you enjoyed the content. Please make sure that whatever you can click that's positive, just click that. Share the content. This is how it gets generated organically, because they're not helping us at all. And as if you came onto this through the event link, you realize nothing happened there. It's because twice in a row now, the Facebook link broke right before we went live. And that's just ridiculous. But it happened twice. All right. And this time I wasn't having it, and I just restarted another link and then pushed it through without any delay. But it's happening. So we need your help to share this. Once you're done registering and following those steps I talked to you about, then you tell 10 friends and get them to do the same. All right. And that's on that note, I will leave you off. All right. If you went and bought one of those Trump MAGA King shirts, just stop, send it back, get a refund, do what you got to do. Just don't be one of those people. Don't be walking around the streets talking about kings are going to save you. It just looks weird. On that note, I'm out.
And like that,